We're live, guys. Round two. You guys ready? Here we go. So this measures 30 by 40 inches, 30 inches across, 40 inches height, and let's do this. I'm gonna start. We're gonna do some flowers. I'm gonna start out by doing a drawing, just a simple drawing. That's true. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's true. This is a graphite. Okay, so we're gonna start doing a loose drawing and some florals right here. Okay, so. And it doesn't really have to be much, guys. It doesn't have to be something specific, because if it becomes too specific, then you might not be doing loose brush work, okay? The jam that I do, the type of work that I do is loose brush work. It's a little bit of impressionistic, a little bit expressionism, and on and on and on. And it's a little bit of fun, lots of fun, I would say. So I start out with this. This is my main idea. I'm trying to create mass here and then leave a little bit here. So we have this thing happening, as you can see right here with this line. We have this thing happening. Okay? And that's how we're going to get it started. All right, so here we go. The next thing to do is I'm going to create some line work. Okay, I'm going to create some line work, and this is going to be created with using black. So I take a brush, I take some black, and I'm gonna, it has to be very wet, guys. There has to be enough water, okay, so that it can flow. That's the trick. It has to flow. If it doesn't flow, you start doing this. You start doing that, and that's when it gets a little bit irritating. If you're trying to do loose brush work, see, it doesn't come off. It doesn't come off. It stays there. See, it stays here. It doesn't come off. So the only time that I remove it is because I'm either gonna put more water or more paint. Okay. And there it is. This will help us determine what the hell's going on, right? Because first we did our drawing. Oh, thank you so much, Luciana. Gracias. So this is how we're gonna do it. Getting some colors here together. And I'm going to keep it simple with the colors. I'm not going to go to bananas with them. I have a couple I have some red and I have some fuchsia. And I'm going to use both, because I like using fuchsia with red. Although some artists don't like that, but I'm not some artist. I'm the world's greatest living artist. So it's a whole different jam when you kick it here with me. So here we go. I'm going to start out with the fuchsia. And again, it has to be wet, right? It has to be wet so that it can flow. I don't mind the drips. I prefer much more the drips, although not always intentional. I prefer much the drips than a dry brush. A dry brush gives me a headache. I don't like it. Okay? So this is how we started. Before it's dry, I'm not gonna let it dry. Before it's dry, I'm gonna get some red and I'm gonna do a little bit of red in there. Just a little bit. Just to give it the presence that there's some red in here. Okay? That's about it. We could even do some there we go. That's good. That's how I'm starting it. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight, right? A little bit of white or cream or whatever. A little bit. And just highlight it. This is a very minimalist approach. Very minimalist approach to this deal. If you're afraid of minimalism, this is where you are going to grow out of your fears of minimalism. Minimalism is very. You have to be somewhat brave or somewhat careless, and I think it's both. You have to be brave and careless. You have to suspend your mind. You have to suspend what you want out of the painting for a little short period of time. You have to suspend what you want out of the painting, because if you have this dead set idea that the painting has to be a certain way, forget about it. You're gone. You're lost. I left this flower a different color because I don't want it to get lost with all the fuchsia and whatnot. So I'm going to leave that one a different color. And that color is going to be this blue that I really like, that I have right here. And I'm gonna bring it down with some white. Just to tone it. Just tone it right here. That's it. The only other place that this could play along would be right here. And that's it. And now, I'm going to do the leaves and all that good stuff. But because I'm me, they're not going to be green, right? Because I'm me. They're going to be this color that I've been itching to use. I used it on a crow earlier. A painting of a crow that I did. This is the color that I like for this. And this is acrylic on paper. Thank you so much, Alisa. Alisa says, "Ooh, I like it." I like to read what people are saying. I'm like, "Ooh, I like it. I love that." What's not to like about this piece? Look at that. It's like candy. So now I'm going to bring in a very slight little color here. But I I think this painting should all have. Not every painting, but it should be part of the jam. And that's a little, very little, but enough to make it happen. And that's great. There should be some gray. One of the reasons why I don't necessarily like using the brush, leaving brush marks alone for some of the stuff that I do, like using this squeegee thing, is because it's been sort of my jam to make it seem as if something got printed. It's part of my little thing, as if something got printed but didn't quite make it. You know, you go to the print shop and it's kind of ruined. You were printing something and then all of a sudden you get this, whether it was print or it was, what do you call it? Screen printing or just regular printing. And then you got some of this happening. One of the things that I learned too is that do not suppress when you have something. You can always go back to white. You know, you can always go back to white. So don't suppress. You can always go back to your background, right? Don't suppress the colors. If you have an idea for the color, or if you feel like something is going to look great, use it. You can always go back to especially with acrylic, right? Especially with acrylic works on paper. You can even create dimensions, sort of sfumato dimensions, layers, thin layers, right? There's another one of my
Daniel, you know what?
Of my weekend words. One of my weekend words.
Pour in some food cubes and put your food higher. There, I'll put it up here.
Okay. So now that the whole thing is there, we have the whole thing, you know, the colors right there. What I want to do is I want to get a very dark. This is going to be carbon black, very dark. Okay. Very dark black. Let's put some of that in there. And what I want to do is, because anything that is dark, right, it goes to the background, right? It goes back. The color pops. So we're gonna put it just to give it a bit of dimension, right? Just a little bit of dimension. It doesn't even have to be that much. Maybe in some areas we overdo it. And just to kind of pop it a little bit right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to some line work. I'm going to take some cream color here, and I'm going to go back to some line work. Just to kind of highlight where things are at. Just fun shit, you know. It's not too complicated. Not too complicated, just very fun stuff. Now, and now I want to, at the very end, where is that? Oh, here it is. Looking for this. Whoops. I hope that. Sorry about that, guys. At the very end, I want to use some pure white. Bam! Pure white. It makes fart noises. So here we go, okay? I promise it was the color, guys. It wasn't me. Huh?
Oh no, one of the ones that I was looking for.
We can do even lighter, right, on the background to get back to a little bit of that. Feeling of work on paper. This one I don't mix it with anything, it's just pure white, but I just wanted to get it back to a little bit of that feeling when you do layers on a smaller work on paper. Someone said to me the other day, I was doing a video, and someone said to me on what was it, on YouTube, they're like, just admit that you ruined it. You don't know what you're doing. I was like, you got that right, dude. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing all day. He's like, just admit that you ruined it. I was like, I will never admit to that. I'm not afraid anymore. I mean, it's a never-ending story, right? This whole thing, it doesn't end. It's just, it keeps going. You decide when you want to end it, right? You decide when you want to end it. It doesn't go anywhere. There it is. Now the trick is finding, the trick of this painting is not going to be finding the guts to sign your name. Bam! There it is. So there is my minimalist little flower. Let me do a close-up, guys. Super, super fun, super simple. Doesn't require you to be like, oh dude, I don't know, you got the petals wrong. I have no petals, what are you talking about? So I hope you guys enjoy this super little fun piece. And yeah, there it is. I just gotta do a few dozen of these a day, and I'm set. I might start learning how to paint them after a few dozen. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of this little lives. They're very cool. I like painting this live. That way, you guys can see what's really going on. You know, the sound in the background is my son playing with his friend. The studio is big enough where people can run around here. They're like having so much fun. Look at that. Minimalist at its core. You know, sometimes it's the simplicity. Sometimes I painted this crow earlier, this oil on canvas crow. Sometimes it's just a simplicity, you know? It's a simplicity. I was doing that and I was like, dude, there's something about this minimal simplicity that I don't know. Sometimes we try too hard. There's no need to. I don't know. I mean, certainly the effort needs to be there, but you know, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because see, I can't stay with a painting too long because I start thinking about it, right? I start thinking about it. This is one of the reasons why as soon as I paint them, I get rid of them. But now that I'm thinking about it, I actually feel tempted to using this. This is one of the reasons why I get rid of the artwork. Right? As soon as I paint it, I get rid of it. I go and I sell it, or I put it at an auction, or I do a sale in my studio, some sort of call to action. Because if it stays in my studio enough time, I am always tempted to play with it more. And it'll, you know, the whole thing will start asking you, like come and play, you know, like warriors. Starts playing with you. It wants to play. Look, it wants to play. It wants to play. It doesn't want to stop. That's the whole thing. This is why so many artists out there. A lot of you guys see it and you guys are like, ooh, so many layers. I gotta be honest with you guys. Those artists are not getting rid of those paintings. That's really what's happening. They're not getting rid of the paintings. It's a sin in my studio. I have a little sign. It's a small one that I put over my desk that reminds me of what Steve Jobs said, right? Real artists ship. You have to ship it. You have to get rid of it. You have to get rid of it, because if you don't get rid of it, you can't create more artwork. See, so I'm always tempted to play with it if I don't get rid of it. This is why some artists say, a real work of art is never finished. But of course not. You're keeping it. You got to get rid of it. If you keep it, it'll never be finished. This is why Da Vinci carried the Mona Lisa everywhere. And he painted the Mona Lisa for many, many years because he didn't get rid of it. But it's beautiful, right? I mean, It's the whole process of it is beautiful, because it's a game. It's a game. You're sharing with people. If you're an artist or you're a collector, you're sharing with people a vision. It's really a vision, right? I'm sharing with you guys my vision. This is how I see things. This is not how I don't have goggles that I see like this, but this is my experience of the world, right? I know some people out there paint some really dark shit. Maybe that's what they're seeing in the world. I don't know. I prefer to look the other way. I prefer to look to possibility, to flowers. And bam! You know? Someone told me, you're going to ruin that. You know what? In all the years that I painted, I've never ruined anything. I've never ruined anything in all the years that I painted. I've gotten mad at stuff and break it. But I've never ruined anything. Even the paintings that I've thrown away or broken or for whatever, when I was learning, right? I was upset about certain things or whatever. Even those paintings were fantastic. I like the sentiment of Pablo Picasso. There's no bad Picasso. There is no bad Trujillo. Of course not. There couldn't be. Anything that comes out of you is true. It's true for the moment, right? If you look at it 2 years later, you're like, oh my God, what was I doing? Dude, you were at that moment. You were 2 years ago. Do you look back at the people you've talked to, people you've dated, and you're like, oh my God, what was I doing? You were being you at that moment. That's all. At that moment, you were being that. They change, and it changes and it changes. I look at paintings that I did years ago, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to show you one that I did some years ago, and I was being me, right? I was being me at that moment. Like, those are some flowers that I'm doing right now, right? There's some flowers that I'm doing right now, and these are some. This is a flower that I did years ago, like years ago, right? I was doing me there, and I was doing. This was something that I was doing a long time ago. It's like 10 years ago or something like that. And I don't do that anymore. This was what I used to do. I used to think I was some sort of fondali, right? A little. But this is what I used to do, and then it changes because you grow, you change, you expand. My work has gotten very, very abstract. Things have changed, and that's the beauty of art, right? You expand, it changes, things move. Like compare this flower, right, of what I'm doing now to this that I used to do. Compare that rose. This is why people don't a lot of people don't get. They're like, paint it right. Dude, you didn't even know what you're talking about. Paint it right. People change. We change. We grow. We expand. Painting it, for me, this right here is painting it right. This was painting it right 10 years ago. This is painting it right now. This is painting it right. Things change. We change. We grow and expand. And it's a beautiful thing. We're supposed to do that. And who knows, maybe later on it's going to look very abstract, or maybe I'll get back to some realism. I don't know. Play around with it. We'll see. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. My name's Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist. Yeah, it definitely was a stepping stone to evolve. That's right, Elisa. It was a stepping stone. It was something that had to be there. It had to be there because it made me the artist that I am today. This is one of the reasons I used to do very realistic work years ago. This is one of the reasons why I am not of the sentiment that the more realism you paint, the better you paint. A lot of artists seem to think that today, and that sounds like a bunch of BS. I believe that the more you paint, the better you get at painting. Not the more. You could spend a whole month, or a whole day painting something something realistic, and it doesn't mean anything. It absolutely doesn't mean anything. It could just mean that you spent a lot of time on it. But it doesn't mean that you grew, that you expanded, that you forged yourself. Now that I've painted thousands and thousands of paintings, now I understand a bit more what to be an artist is. It's not necessarily just volume. It can be if you are like me, but it means that you spent hours and effort in artwork and multiple. Right? You do it a lot. You do it a lot, and you start figuring something out. Again, it's hilarious, right? If you think about it, you're like, dude, it's It's almost strange. How did you go from this to that? Well, because it is. It is. That's the beauty of art. Take care, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Adios.